Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. As we're moving along through Mark's Gospel, today we're looking at Pilate's sentencing of Jesus and seeing all of the terrible inconsistencies in that terrible tragic event. Mark chapter 15, verses 6 to 15, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation. It says, "Now it was the governor's custom each year during the Passover celebration to release one prisoner, anyone the people requested. One of the prisoners at that time was Barabbas, a revolutionary who'd committed murder in an uprising. The crowd went to Pilate and asked him to release a prisoner as usual. 'Would you like me to release to you this king of the Jews?' Pilate asked. For he realized by now that the leading priest had arrested Jesus out of envy. But at this point, the leading priest stirred up the crowd to demand the release of Barabbas instead of Jesus. Pilate asked them, 'Then what should I do with this man you call the King of the Jews?' They shouted back, 'Crucify him!' 'Why?' Pilate demanded. 'What crime has he committed?' But the mob roared even louder, 'Crucify him!' So to pacify the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He ordered Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip, then turned him over to the Roman soldiers to be crucified. In a political sop to the Jewish nation, Pilate had a custom of releasing a political prisoner on their sacred holidays. Now, the person released would have been physically tortured and deprived of sustenance and medical care. For a long time, he would have been a shell of the person that was first incarcerated. But he would let the people choose by a crowd consensus who to release. And it appeared to be this wonderful humanitarian gesture, but really all it was just a way of gaining political points. He asked if they wanted to release Jesus, but the hatred and envy of the chief priest had so riled up the crowd that they demanded the release of another man called Barabbas instead. They shouted for Jesus' crucifixion in a leader-promoted bloodlust. The Jewish leaders were inciting them to riot so much that they just went along with the wave of emotion and shouted the hatred and envy of the leaders towards Jesus at Pilate. So what did he do? He acquiesced to the mob mentality, and he released Barabbas. Jesus he had tortured and then sent to the Romans for crucifixion. A couple of noteworthy things that Pilate did. One is he gave in to the will of an emotional mob whipped into a frenzy by manipulative leaders. Anytime you have a leader that licks their finger and sees which way the wind is blowing to get their opinions, you don't have much of a leader. A real leader has standards and convictions, and they follow those and they make decisions based upon their standards and convictions, not what the whim of a mob mentality has. The second thing Pilate did was he showed an extraordinary appetite for cruelty. He enjoyed watching his soldiers cause physical pain to his prisoners. And there are people, unfortunately, that enjoy seeing the suffering of others, and they make very poor leaders. Third thing Pilate did is he showed no regard for the rule of law, but only for what was convenient. He kept asking the crowd to give him some evidence against Jesus and give him an idea of what he had done, and they couldn't tell him anything. They just kept shouting to crucify him. And so rather than take it seriously, he just bent over backwards for what was convenient, what was easy, instead of what was right. And if you've got a leader that doesn't worry about what's right, but only what's convenient, you've not got much of a leader. Beware of leaders who exhibit the same traits of Pilate. This week, be in prayer for those in our nation who are leaders, in your church who are leaders, in your communities who are leaders. Be in prayer that leaders would be men and women of integrity. God bless you.